What's going on, everyone? I am here with Mary Hyatt. We just recorded a couple great episodes of the podcast. We had so much fun. Mary is a life and business mindset coach. She specializes in helping high-achieving female entrepreneurs move from living a life of burnout to a life where they are connected to their emotions, body, and their spirit. MaryHyatt.com is where you can find her. And she's also a podcast host. Her podcast is called the Living Fully Alive Podcast. So go check that out, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff. Mary, what's up?
Hey, man. Here we are.
Yeah.
Video. Like it.
We're actually recording video this time. On the
Right.
podcast, we only recorded the audio. But I'm glad to have you here. This is so much fun. I loved our conversations on the podcast. We were just talking before we hopped on here that it got a little woo-woo, and you didn't
I
think we
mean,
were going to go there.
okay, here's the real truth. Like, if you are around me for any amount of time, it's gonna go there. Like, it's gotta go there. I love talking about the woo-woo. And it's one of those things that my friends know. They're like, oh, there she goes again, you know?
I like it. I mean, it's something that I've been talking a lot more about lately. I mean, for whatever reason, and maybe you've had this experience or maybe not, but you can tell us. It felt like, when I was growing up, I was very involved in my religion and spirituality and all of those things. Then when I got into business, I kind of got away from it because I felt like the two didn't mix, or I felt
Yeah.
like the business side clashed with it and it just didn't, I don't know, it just felt weird. And then recently, so I got all into the self-help and all of those things, and that kind of pushes you more towards the Eastern philosophy and side of
Yep.
things. And so armed with that, recently over the past few years, I've gotten back into the religious side, but I found that going back to my religion now with a place of not being forced into it, not
Right.
anyone telling me I have to, but really taking the time to reconnect with it, learn about it, take it in. It's made my faith and my religious and spiritual side that much stronger. And when I
Yeah.
put God at the center of what, and because I'm a Catholic and I believe in God and Jesus and that whole thing, when I put that at the center of my life and allow my business to grow around that, it makes it that much stronger.
Isn't that so amazing? Like, I feel like I've had a similar experience in that I grew up Eastern Orthodox. So I kind of had like a bent to Eastern. We did things that maybe a lot of my Protestant friends didn't necessarily do. So I can like totally vibe with the whole Catholic thing. And, but again, it was very much like, I'm doing this because it makes my parents happy. I'm doing this because it's what I'm supposed to do. And I was always really interested in it. But I think as I became an adult and was sort of spreading my own wings and sort of figuring out, okay, what is it that I believe? What is it that was just handed to me? What is it that I disagree with? And having that ability to sort of question a lot of it. And I kind of like went pendulum swing. So I did Kundalini yoga teacher training, which is like the Sikh tradition, super Eastern. And I thought, wow, I'm going to become like a Buddhist when I do all this yoga. And it was interesting. It actually like brought me back to my faith in a stronger way. It was sort of like this challenge that allowed me to go, no, I actually really believe in XYZ. And throughout time though, as I sort of like developed in my own personal journey, I think it's been really cool to see how when that becomes aligned, like when your spirituality, whatever that looks like, becomes aligned with your work in the world and how you look at success, how you look at money, how you look at creating all of those things, there's just a whole new fresh approach to it. It becomes less about like force and effort and more about alignment and sort of like connecting to that part of yourself. Like, this is what I was created to do. Like, these are my strengths. These are my God-given gifts. These are these sort of almost like callings that I'm drawn to naturally because of the way that I was created and because of who I believe I'm meant to be. That alignment, business and the spirituality thing, it just feels like it makes it easier. Like, it gives it some feet, it gives it some purpose in a way that just striving for the success like never could for me.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, it took a lot of pressure off of me.
Yeah.
Because before it was like, I have to do this, I have to get this done, I have to make this happen. And now when I get into that place or I feel like that, for me to stop, and this is just, for my personal practice, if I stop and just take even a minute and just be like, okay, God, what do you want? Where are we
Yeah.
going with this? Or just taking the time to realign myself by saying something as simple as, Jesus, I trust in you. It changes the whole game for me because it's like, oh, I'm not alone. I'm not doing this
Yeah.
by myself. It's not all on me.
Right. Well, and the way I would approach that is just sort of like that idea of coming at it from a place of ego. Like when my ego gets involved, my humanness, the part of me that is trying to prove myself, the part of me that is trying to earn love, try to be seen, try to be noticed, be special, all of those things that I believe that somehow I'm undeserving of or not worthy of, like that I'm in a space of lack. That to me is my ego. When I'm trying to like make up for my brokenness, make up for the fact that I'm not good enough. To me, it's like that moment of pausing and being like, wait a minute, where is this pressure coming from? Because it's not coming, I work for myself. So it's not coming from a boss. It's not coming from somewhere outside of myself. That's coming from inside of myself. That is like an internal pressure that I am feeling like, and part of my misbelief has been that I have to earn God's love. I've got to do enough, be enough, accomplish enough in order to have my father be proud of me. And that is just like a recipe for burnout, stress, all the things that are negative factors in our life. Ooh. And so when you kind of go, wait a minute, no, it's not about me like in this child role of like pleasing my daddy, but it's about partnering and being informed by, being led by, having this wisdom and guidance to walk me through life, business, opportunities, decision making moments. I'm not alone in that. And just that sense that, whoa, I don't have to do this to earn love. Game changer. Done.
I love that. Yeah, it's huge. It's a huge um not only to know it intellectually, because I think a lot of people
Yeah.
can recite that and say that intellectually, but to actually feel it from at a core level, at a soul level, and know that will change your life completely. And I like to think about, when you think about that example, I like to think about the gospel story of when Jesus called Peter specifically to follow him. And when it was Simon at the time, it was before he called him Peter, but when they were it was when he caught all the fish. He told him to cast his net after fishing all night, caught all the fish, almost sunk the boat. And Peter, if you remember correctly, got out of the boat, dropped to his knees, and was saying, I'm a sinful man. I need to go run from you. Don't look at me. He was so ashamed. But at that moment, Jesus looked at him and said, look at me, stand up, follow me. And so
Mm,
like a lot of times I think about when I feel that way, when I'm like, I need to earn that love or earn that or whatever, it's like, that's me focusing on me and my unworthiness. Whereas
yeah.
God's standing beside me going, why are you looking at you? I'm right here. Look at
Yeah.
me. And you don't, it's already there. It's given to you. And
Yeah.
so operating from that place, and it's like, take it into a business context. When you go in to do your business, when you go in to have sales conversations, or you go in to do marketing, or you go in to do prospecting, or whatever it may be, going in from a place of, I'm already loved. I'm already enough. I already have everything I need. I'm here to share that and help someone else, will
Yep.
change the way you approach the conversation, the way you show up in the moment, as opposed to going in and trying to earn that business so you feel enough, or earn
Right.
that acceptance so you feel accepted. But already coming from that place can allow you to not even focus or think about yourself, but focus on, how do I serve this person and help them, which will in turn help your business to grow, not even more full of integrity and love, which it will, but even faster and
Yeah.
easier.
And it's such a tricky thing, and this is like such a journey, and I've been on the continuum of this, so I feel like it's one of those things that you don't just wake up and go, oh my god, I'm enough and everything's fine, I'll approach it. This is really like a baby step yourself through it kind of situation, because it's so ingrained
Well,
in
that's why
us.
visualization and meditation are so important, right? Because you have to
Yes.
do it every single day in order to build that muscle, so
Yeah.
that when you're in those situations, it's there already. You can't
Totally.
build it on the spot.
No, and exactly. It's like that repetitive kind of thing where we have to continually remind ourselves that we are enough, that we are loved, that we are whole, and that there's nothing we have to do. And it's interesting. I was thinking about the business side of that, and like walking into a situation when there's such a fear of rejection. Like, I don't know if you've ever felt that, where you're like, the minute somebody says no to you, you try to pitch them something and they say no. It's like, oh, like, dang, like, what did I do wrong? Like, I'm a loser.
What's
I
wrong with
screwed that
me?
up. What's wrong with me? And it's like, it feels so like a total personal attack. And I think that that stops a lot of people in business from wanting to, like, I've been working with a lot of one-on-one clients recently right now, like redefining their business, like in the midst of COVID, post COVID, and kind of thinking about, okay, how do I drum up new business in this climate? And a lot of them have been really afraid to go after new leads. Like, they're usually, like, the clients I'm thinking of, their businesses are businesses that have been word of mouth, and they've had all their business word of mouth. They haven't had to go drum up business, but now they're in a new situation where they're going to have to do that. And that fear of rejection is really strong. And so having to work with them on kind of coming back to, oh, that is really coming from a place of that fear, of that sense of self scarcity. I am not enough. And once you can kind of like get in and sink your teeth in and sort of like rewrite that narrative about yourself, then, and again, through repetition over and over again, then you can continually show up as sort of this whole self going, you know what, like non-attachment, take it or leave it. This is what I want to do to help you, to serve you, to offer you value. And if you say no, that's okay, man. Like, that is all right. Like, next person, no big deal. Has no reflection on my sense of self-worth. That is okay. And you don't get in that spiral and that looping, of shame, of rumination over self-abasement. And so that's, to me, it's freedom when you can get to that place. But it again, it's baby steps to get there, right?
I mean, yeah. And I mean, to me, like from a sales perspective, I celebrate the decisions.
Yeah.
What frustrates me more than anything is when someone doesn't make a decision, when they kind of like ghost you or run from you or
Right.
don't give a shit, or they keep scheduling appointments but never decide. That frustrates me because it's like, that's where I start to think, where did I not give them the space or the comfortability to be able to decide one way or the other? And it may not
Yeah.
have anything, it usually doesn't have anything to do with you. It has to do with them, and they're like floundering in their own mind or whatever.
Right.
But at the end of the day, like if someone says no to me, I am always just as happy as if someone says yes.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
love
because
I love that.
if they say no and they're not ready for it, I would rather them say no, because I don't want to
Absolutely.
have to drag them along, and it's probably not a good fit. And I only want to work with people who are 100% yes, I want to do this.
Oh gosh, 100%. And I think we can all attest to people that we've worked with before that weren't ready, who said yes. That's just like a miserable experience. And it reminds me of a little acronym that Jack Canfield has, and it's SW, 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 which is some will, some won't, so what, someone's waiting. And I love that. It's sort of like, okay, like there are people that are ready, that are literally like in their own prayers asking for what I bring to the table and the services I have. And to me, it's like those are the people I want to work with, who are like, let's do it.
So whenever I'm having a conversation, when someone says no, I never close the door, because it could be yes later. They could be ready later. It may be a
Yeah.
timing issue. So I'm always, I always have that feeling of, I got a decision. That was great. That's the next step towards the next person that says yes and is ready 110%. So I feel good about that. When someone says yes, there's a moment initially that I feel really good. I feel really happy inside. I'm ready to do this with them. But then that feeling typically transfers into a deep feeling of responsibility, because
Mm,
now I am responsible for helping them solve this problem or get to this next step. And I'm
yeah.
happy to do that, and I want to do that. But I think that it's important to go from a place of celebration to a place of, now I'm responsible for this. Let's get serious. And
Yeah.
it reminds me of, and I don't want to keep beating this, but it reminds me of a new pope when he's elected. If you ever watch those, it's
Mm,
only happened like twice in my life, but it's fun to see, because when the pope gets elected, the pope or the cardinal, when he gets elected to be a pope, he's never supposed to want it. He's supposed to be chosen for it, but then take it on with a great sense of responsibility. And if you'll
yeah.
ever notice, before they come out for the first time and address the crowd that's there in St. Peter's, they always have this like look of almost mourning on their face, of
Mm,
seriousness, because now they're responsible for all of these people and all of this, this whole church. And that's almost the feeling that I get when I get a new
mm,
client, is like, I'm humbled. This is great. But now I have this deep feeling of responsibility. We're going to make this happen. And I think that's an
yeah.
important shift to have.
Yeah. And I think there's a way to have responsibility that isn't um, doesn't zap you energetically. I mean, I think there's a way, like when I think about partnering with my one-on-one clients, for me, it's like, there is this, I love that word responsibility. It's like this deep responsibility of this partnership. Like I am coming alongside my clients to create really amazing shifts and changes in their life and their business. And so to me, that excites me. Like the responsibility is like, this is going to be epic, like this is going to be powerful. Like we're going to get to do this together, but there's a sacredness about it.
Mhm.
There is this kind of like reverence to the fact that we're about to do deep work and we're going to create change. And I'm not going to take that lightly, because I say to my clients, I'm like, I'm in 110%. Like I'm going to show up for you in a way that I hope you can bring your own self to the table. But I'm here. Like this is a intimate partnership of creating beautiful shifts in your life. And there is sort of this, like, to me, it's more of a reverence
Mhm.
of like, we're about to do this together. But for me, I'm like, let's go, like, let's do it. Cause I can see oftentimes through to the other side when a client can't. So I can, in a way, like bring in that energy and enthusiasm of like trust in that I've done this before. And I know what it looks like on the other side. Like you're going to do it. You're going to get there. So attach yourself to my hope and my trust.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I don't get like sad by it and I don't get
Yeah. Yeah.
scared or upset, but there's a moment after like, we've just gotten started, things are just getting underway, that I'll sit probably alone and acknowledge that feeling and then gear up and move on from that. But
Yeah.
it's important for that feeling to be there, because I know if it's not there, then something's off. If
Right.
there's not that feeling, then it's like, am I doing this for them? Because I want to make sure that my intention is right. And my intention is always to serve that other person.
Yeah.
And so there's got to be a responsibility that comes along with that. If you're just number crunching and going through the numbers and trying to, then you won't have that feeling. You'll have the
Right.
feeling of, I won. It's like a win-lose game, right? I'm either winning or
Yeah.
losing. I won, next. And I don't ever want to be at that point with someone
Yeah.
in a business context.
Well, I think about that as just like intimacy, right? So it's like when you are intimately partnering with your people and you're really fully present with them, to me, you're not going to get to that place of numbers. And I love that sort of like that gut check of like, am I just treating this person as another client, another paycheck, another deposit? Or is it like, no, I'm actually really here to be in service of this person? And that kind of intimacy, to me, at least my experience is, that is going to result in success. Like it can't help, but it's an energetic match. But to me, there's this purity about it. And I think that as business owners, as entrepreneurs, we need to continue to have that gut check of that sort of like pure intention place of making sure, hey, I'm really here in service, and this isn't just about me getting.
Yeah. Yep. I love it. Mary, thank you so much for being here. I love the podcast that we recorded. So, to remind people, if you're watching this, the podcast should be coming very soon, unless you're watching this after the fact. But if you're listening to this, you can go back and listen to those right now. So go listen to those. MaryHyatt.com is where you can connect with her. And again, subscribe to her podcast, the Living Fully Alive podcast. So make sure you check that out. Mary, this has been so much fun. Let's definitely do this again soon.
Let's do it. It was awesome. Thanks for having me.